All right, so here's it is back from the ride. Let's see how many miles I put on it. Back from the first ride. Looks like I have 76,000. Oh, excuse me, 76 miles. 76 miles. All right, so that's the odometer. Man, this thing is so dark. Odometer, trip A, 75.7. Trip B, 75.7. Back to the odometer. That's it. It has no other functions, which kind of sucks. I wish this thing had a clock. That's the only thing I would probably want is a clock. That's how much fuel I used up so far with that 76 miles. Oh, it just popped up to 3. I just shook the bike a little bit. It popped up to 3. So anyways, yeah, so the first 20, let's see, probably the first 30 miles I would say. First 30 miles or so, I took it easy on some rolling hills. I was wide open, but it was rolling hills, so it didn't really top out as far as speed goes. So I don't think I even attempted to see what the top speed is right now. I haven't even done that, but I did go full, wide open in quite a few spots. Then after that 30 miles, I went up rode up the mountain I usually ride up, my test track. That thing goes up to 3,500 feet, and I'm starting at just a few hundred, 200 or maybe 300 feet above sea level. So basically going over 3,000 feet in elevation, up and down. I actually went up and down it twice. So that's basically 7,000 feet of elevation gain overall, at least, if not more than that. So how did it ride? It rode surprisingly well. It's very it feels much, compared to the Super Cub, it feels much more solid, more planted, more stable. And I think that's just because of the additional weight. It's a little bit heavier of a bike. I think it's about 20, I'm gonna say about 20 pounds heavier, I think, somewhere around there, 15-20 pounds heavier. But also the wheels are definitely heavier. These spoke wheels are usually heavier than the cast wheels. Also this is a tube, right? They're running tubes, so it's not just the weight of the tire. There's also a tube in there, so that adds extra weight as well. So that rotational mass, two big gyroscope basically. The bigger the gyroscope, the heavier it is. The more stable it becomes. So I think that's where the stability comes from this bike compared to the Super Cub. So that's that. The handling wise, it also feels it feels like that's more weight, like it's a more mature bike compared to the Super Cub. It's like when I jump on my monkey to the Super Cub, there's that difference. So the Super Cub to this, that's not as much of a difference, but it's but there is a noticeable difference. It's not as much of a difference as compared from monkey to Super Cub versus Super Cub to trail. But the difference is noticeable. Other thing is the suspension on here is actually more. It's actually firmer. The spring rate on here is actually firmer than the Super Cub. The Super Cub, I'm light, butt naked. I'm only 135 pounds, so I'm really light. Suited up in my suit and everything, I'm probably, let me see, butt naked, I'm 135. I'm probably all my riding gear, I'm probably under 160. Let's say no more than 160 in full riding gear. So I'm pretty light, and on the Super Cub, I could bottom it out pretty easily, I think. But this bike, I haven't really bottomed it out. Well, I might have possibly, but I didn't feel it. It's not like the Super Cub. When I bottom out, I could feel it. It feels sort of kind of harsh almost. Not harsh, but it's it's noticeable. The bottom out on the Super Cub's noticeable compared to the Trail. I haven't really noticed it. If I did bottom out, but I don't think I did. I probably came close to it. to bottom out. This thing's covering the piston on the shock, so you can't see it. But yeah, so the spring is definitely firmer. Both front and rear is firmer. It's not just firmer springs, but it feels like the dampening has more too. There's more dampening on this compared to the Super Cub. Whereas the Super Cub, you feel it go through the suspension kind of easily. Like there's not much dampening in there, both the front and rear. But this bike, front and rear, it doesn't go through the suspension as quickly, as easily. So that in that regard, it feels better. The handlebars is wider. The handlebar feels really wide. I'm not sure how wide it is, but it feels very wide. Of my 4 bikes I have right now, my Monkey, my Super Cub, the Trail, and my CB300. This handlebar is wider than all of the other 3 bikes. It's even wider than my CB300. So that's that. Height of the handlebar, I'm not sure. I can't quite tell. I think it's a little bit higher than the Super Cub, but I can't quite tell. It might be the same height, possibly, but it feels like it's kind of closer to me. So I think I have to play with the angle. So you look at the angle right here, the handlebar, it's still back. I might have to possibly move the handlebar angle forward, or maybe even let's look at how the top clamp mount is. See how where the mount is right here, and the handlebar. It's the handlebar mount where the handlebar is. It's behind the center of the center of the handlebar is behind the center of the mounting spot. So one thing you could do is you could actually flip this around the other way, so that way this handlebar is a little bit forward. So that will probably make it. Oh, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna make it maybe 3/4 of an inch or so more forward. So I might do that just to make it feel like it's a little roomier, because I don't want to rotate this angle too much forward, because what happens when you rotate the angle too much forward is the handlebar level here. I want to keep it leveled, or even possibly slightly angled down a little bit. If you rotate it forward too much, it will actually cause it to angle up, and that actually makes very bad ergonomics when you angle the handlebar upwards like that, where the outside is higher than the inside here. It makes your elbow stick out, and it makes really, it's really bad ergonomics. It doesn't you ride for like half an hour, you might not notice it, but if you ride for all day long or half a day, you'll notice that. And your articulation of your arms, it's kind of constricted too when your elbows are sticking out, versus the elbows pointing down instead of pointing out. So there's that. Let's see. The foot positioning here feels a little bit different. I haven't double checked compared to my Super Cub. So let's look at it. Let's look at the shift shaft right here. Right, the shift shaft in relation to where the center of the peg is. It looks like the shift shaft is actually just behind the peg. It's probably about, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so. So this peg is actually about 1/4 inch forward of the shift shaft. So let's go run over to my Super Cub and we can check that, see how that is. But for some reason the foot peg here, it feels a little better than the Super Cub. I'm not sure if it's just the different pegs, or where it's actually placed. So let's see. It's not just forward. Let's see how high up it is. It looks like it's easily 2 inches higher than the top here. Easily 2 inches higher than the shift shaft. Let's run over here to the Super Cub and see how that goes. Oh man, I have so much crap here. There's junk everywhere. Shoot, I don't know how to get in here. Let's see. Shit everywhere. All right. Let's see. Okay. So the placement is about the same. So it's basically about 1/2 inch or so, or 1/4 inch or so forward, and also the height-wise is about the same as well. Okay, so it has the same foot placement then. So basically the same foot placement. Let's look straight down. Have a look straight down from where the foot peg is to where the seat is. But, you know, where the edge of the seat here is, straight down. It looks like it's let's see. I don't think you guys could tell. So my view. So I use old bed sheets to cover my bikes when I'm out, when it's in the shed. So looking straight down, if I do like a plumb line, I can actually see the like the edge of the seat here. It's basically more or less at the center of the foot peg. Let's see on the Trail. Oh, same thing. Yeah, it's about the same. Edge of the seat here looks like it's about center with the plumb line. So we know that relation. Let's look at the relation of that with the handlebars. Oh, it's kind of hard to tell here. Distance of the handlebar to the edge of the seat here. That looks like, man, that looks like less than a feet. Distance here looks like it's less than a feet. Let's see, it's right at the top of my hip. Shoot, my Super Cub is not. Yes, the steering lock is on. Oh wait, it's not on. Oh, wait a minute, it's not on, so I could actually straighten it out. Oh, it's about the same. It's about a foot, or maybe less than a foot, from the edge of the seat to the end of the handlebar here. Let's see, I measured from this other side here. Let's see as far as my hip goes. Okay, so this one is actually lower. Let's see. So the handlebar, yeah, so now the bike is straightened out. The handlebar is just at the top of my hip. Let's actually try that on the trail. I think I'm here. Yep. Oh, this is totally taller. So with the bike straightened out, the top of the handlebar here is at the bottom of my ribs. So the distance between my ribs and my top of my hip is basically my hand width. So I put the width of my hand right here. So here's at the bottom of my hand is the top of my hip, and where my thumb is, that's the bottom of my ribs. So yeah, so I was right. So this thing is higher up. So that's why I felt like it was closer to me. So it's definitely very the sitting position, it's very upright. It's even more upright than the Super Cub. Let's see. What else about this bike? I like the gearing. Did I mention that? I like the gearing. This 39 tooth in the back. So I think I'm gonna possibly change the Super Cub gearing too, because the Super Cub gearing, so both of them have 14 in the front, and I believe the internal transmission is the same. So the internal transmission on the Super Cub, the Monkey, and the Grom are all the same. So I'm assuming that this one is the same too. Now I won't know for sure until I get the service manual, and I actually have that on order. It should be here, I think, sometime next week. So anyway, so the other three bikes, the internal gearing is all the same. There is a difference in the transmission, and the 4-speed transmission, the gearing is the same, but there is a difference in the driven shaft to the drive shaft to the driven shaft. There is a difference in ratio there, and I don't remember what they were, but there is a small difference. It's only like a couple of teeth difference, 1 or 2 teeth. But anyways, so let's look at the Super Cub front sprocket. It's the same as the Trail front sprocket, but this back sprocket here on the Trail is 39, whereas the Super Cub is 36. So I think the Super Cub's geared too tall, and it's just really awkward to ride. On a flat it doesn't really bother me much, but when I'm riding in the mountains on the Super Cub, it's really awkward to ride because it's just geared too tall. Like for example, when I'm going up a steep hill with this bike, for example, I go up a relatively steep hill, and I could still do it in third gear, and it's toward at the bottom of the third gear. It's like not so bad, and if it's even steeper, really steep, then I have to go down to second. But on a Super Cub, on a steep hill, because it's so tall, I'm at the bottom of third gear, and it's just too tall, and I have to shift to second. And and when I do that, second gear is like, it's revving really high. It's like, it's whining it out. And I don't like that. I don't like whining out the engines like that. Revving it that high. And I mean, it's okay when it's like really steep, that I could be in second gear and it'd be fine. But when it's steep but not really steep, Super Cup is still a bit off, compared to this. I think the gearing on this is better, more usable. But you do lose a little bit of top speed. But the Super Cup, I think it tops out at like 75, 76. If you do the math on the gearing ratio and the RPMs when it reaches the rev limiter, it tops out at about 76. And that bike, the Super Cup, that bike is unstable at once you get above 65, it starts to become unstable. So that's, and it never gets up that high anyway. So that's for when you're going downhill, steep downhill. Could it get above above 65, 70? So I'm thinking I'm gonna change that gearing, but I want to because I don't know if the sprocket on this one will fit the Super Cup. So if it does fit the same sprocket pattern, I'm gonna get a sprocket, rear sprocket for the from the Trail and put it on the Super Cup. I have to double check the bolt pattern, see if it fits the same or not. Hopefully it does. So anyways, what else about this bike? I like the disc brakes in the back. That feels better than the drum brakes compared to the Super Cub. So that's cool. And now that I have 75 miles since I was going up and down the mountain, the second time down the mountain, the brakes felt good. It felt like almost normal, like strong. The first time down, I could still feel it wasn't broken in yet. The brakes wasn't bedded in yet, so it was still kind of not quite there. Even though right now it's still not at full strength yet, but it's a lot better than it was the first run down. Second run down was much better. So these tires actually felt okay. These IRC. Oh, you guys see that IRC GP5 80/90. 80/90/17, and the rim on here, the front and rear rim is 1.6 width, so it's a pretty narrow rim. I was thinking of, oh man, maybe I could put like a 3.5 inch tire on this, but I think that's gonna be too much for this bike. 3.5 inch. It looks like it clears though. I still have about 3/8 of an inch on this left side here, and the right side I believe I have more. Yeah, the right side has more space. So I think it does have enough space for a 3.5 inch tire. See the space up in its here as far as clearance of the tire goes. I'm putting my whole hand like that, and the top of my thumb there hits the under fender. So probably a 3.5 inch tire would probably fit on here. But as is for now, I mean, this is a metric sizing. But this metric sizing is basically the same as a 3 inch. If you use imperial sizing, standard sizing, it's 3 inch. 3 inch height, 3 inch width. It's about the same as this one is. So this one is 80 millimeters width. 80 millimeters is just over 3 inches, but 90% ratio of 80 is actually 72 millimeters. So that's just under 3 inches. So it's about the same as a 3 inch tire. The other thing is, if you go with a 3.5 inch tire, I'm not sure if the power on this bike could push that. It probably won't. If you do go with 3.5 inch tires, you're looking at more dirt oriented, more dirt riding, and if that's the case, you might even gear your bike even lower. Instead of a 39, you might want to go with like a in the back here, instead of 39 teeth, you want to probably go with like maybe a 41 tooth in the back. If you do that, if I did that, that's probably what I would do. If I did 3.5 inch tires front and back, I would go with like a 41 tooth in the back, and that way it's still, I think it will still be streetable. You still should be able to do like 50 miles an hour on the street and it'd be okay. It won't be like, you won't be winding out the engine, but it's still geared low enough and okay for dirt use, for like fire roads and such, service roads. This bike is not a true off-road bike, so don't want to do it for that. You want that, get a real dirt bike. So same setup in the rear, the front, same tires, same rim size. Let's see what else about this thing. Yeah, so that's my initial first 75 miles, my thoughts on it anyways. What I want to do for now. So the gearing's good, everything's good. So once this tire wears out, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep on using this tire. So I think this tire, this GP5 tire, is it's like a 90% street and 10% dirt, possibly even maybe 15% dirt. So I'm thinking of either getting the IRC GP1s, and I think those ones are like 80% street and 20% dirt, or more hard surface, like, you know, hard pack dirt and such. So I possibly might get that, but I'm not sure. With those tires, they come in a 3-inch, so they're using inches instead of metric, so they come in 3-inch. If I want to, you know, do more dirt focus, they also come in 3.5-inch as well, so that's an option. Shinko also makes a tire. I forgot what the number was. I think it was 244, Shinko 244. That could be an option as well. Those come in at 3-inch. I don't think they have a 3.5, but I know for sure they have a 3-inch. There's also a Shinko 241, I believe, but that one's it's like a trail tire. You know, if you actually go to the Shinko website, they say that the 241s are not intended for extended highway use. So basically, you know, what that basically means is that it's not intended for like high speeds, you know, for too long, because the compound is probably too soft, and the nubs will probably, you know, it probably will wear off really fast, or even rip off, because it was more meant for dirt. You know, the thing is, when you ride dirt tires on the street, especially if you ride it hard, man, those dirt tire, those knobs will just rip right off, because, you know, especially if they're soft knobs. If they're the hard knobs meant for like hard pack, it might be hold up a little better, but for like soft dirt, those knobs will just rip right off on street use. So I believe that's why they said that. So anyways, those are the tire choices. But, you know, got a long ways. This back tire should last me anyways. I would say probably 3,500 miles. You know, that's pretty typical for me as far as back tires go. Around 3,500 miles. Let's see, what other thoughts should I have on this bike. I had to figure something out, because, you know, this is a tube, so I had to figure something out as far as, you know, because normally I do not like tube. You know, my two criteria that I must have for a bike is tubeless and fuel injection, and preferably liquid cool, but, you know, I could do without the liquid cool. And in this case, I could do without a tubeless, because obviously this is a tube. So, but I still gotta have my fuel injections. You know, I'm sick and tired of carbs. I don't want to deal with carbs anymore. You know, I've been there, done that. But so I have to be concerned about, you know, getting a puncture on this, because either puncture on this, you know, you can't just use a rope plug and, you know, and repair it in 5 minutes. This thing is gonna take, like, you know, if you have tools with you and everything, you bust out the tools and everything and fix this thing, it's gonna probably take at least an hour, a good hour to do that. Possibly even more. So I have to figure out something. Maybe I'm gonna squirt some slime or something like that in the inner tube. Hopefully that might help out. That might not. I don't know. I've used slime before in the past, but that was like, you know, back in the 90s. I'm not sure if the formula, the slime formula, is the same or not from back then to it is now. It probably isn't. It probably improved it. But back then, slime didn't work very well. At least not in bicycles, anyways. Every time I had slime in bicycles and I had a puncture, it never really worked. At least it didn't work for me. What I used, you know, 20 years ago, starting around 20 years ago, is this product called Stan's Snow Tube, or is it No Tube? Stan's, I think it's Stan's Snow Tube. Anyways, this guy named Stan makes it for tubeless tires for bicycles. So I might use that instead. I think that works better, and that works surprisingly well in mountain bikes. Every time I got a puncture on my tubeless mountain bike tires, the Stan's, it worked every time. There's only one time that it didn't work, was because I actually had the tires pumped so soft that the bead actually blew out, and the latex, basically it's latex, it squirted out. But anyways, so yeah, so that's the thought on the tubeless. Oh wow, this video is getting way too long. Alright, thanks for watching.